So, um, what do we know about it so far? So, you know, this session, I will let you know, this session is being recorded. So if you don't want to have your face on, that's absolutely fine. You switch your camera off, I don't mind. But you know how to use the chat function if you want to. Feel free to raise your virtual hand if you've got any questions. I'm not saying that I'm going to have all of the answers. I can certainly take them away for you. Okay. So here we are, 2021, and as Jane mentioned, finding out different ways of doing things. In fact, in other sessions, you were using the breakout rooms and interactions on there. So, I'm guessing, like most of us, before March last year, we'd never even heard of Zoom, let alone used it. Yet here we are finding, doing more and more from it as well. How great that we can share in this event from the comfort and the safety, more importantly, the safety of our own homes. Jamboree, or World Scout Jamboree, as we often know it, and other international events are, such a major part in scouting. So we know that you guys have taken part in it. So feel free to share with me, what was it that you decided? Why was it you decided to take part in an international jamboree, in an international event? Did you enjoy it? Would you do it again? Tell us more about it. It's recommending it and shouting about it. If you've taken part, how much you enjoyed it, and it's getting people to share in that experience. We're starting to gear up for our next World Scout Jamboree in South Korea in the summer of 2023, as we know they're every 4 years. And I've got a video that I'm going to share with you now, so just so we can get in the mood about that. And this is on the World Scout Jamboree 2023 website as well. So let's have a look at this. Let's see if it's the sound, and that would help.
A fun festival held for 12 days. Give me a thumbs up if you can. The dream of youth around the world to Saemangeum. Draw your dream. 2023 Saemangeum 25th World Scout Jamboree. A gift from nature, a living and breathing treasure, a mysterious story that has held for tens of thousands of years. Beautiful heritage awaits you. On the stage of passion and dreams, having a happy dream. 2023 Saemangeum 25th World Scout Jamboree. In the endlessly unfolding Saemangeum, dreams of youth bloom in a new way. Mountains, sea, through thrilling adventures on the river, through delicious experiences, through a fun experience. Beyond pleasure to newness. Only at the 2023 Saemangeum 25th Scout Jamboree. Smarter. Safer. Enjoy more conveniently. Festival of Scouts around the world. 2023 Saemangeum 25th World Scout Jamboree. Now, here, as one dream, meet the Festival of Unity. 2023 Saemangeum 25th World Scout Jamboree. Preparation for the future of youth around the world. A bigger world will open in 2023. Draw your dream. 2023 Saemangeum 25th World Scout Jamboree.
So how was that for everybody? Yeah.
Can I sign up now?
Sorry, say that again.
Can I sign up now?
Can you sign up now? Not quite yet, Louise. But what did you think about that, everybody? So I really feel free to unmute yourselves, share with me, talk with me, because it's really, really hard.
Well, being in the
Louise is
lockdown
there.
at the moment, this was like an explosion. It was overwhelming. It was exciting. It was all everything Scout is standing for, and it's a future. It's progressive. It's not like dusted Scout camp. It's as I said, particularly in the very moment, I'm emotionally overwhelmed by seeing something which is beyond in the new normal, beyond COVID. Just hopefully going ahead like that and leaving the current behind and looking forward. It was very positive.
Martin, I love that. Thank you so much. Absolutely. It's exciting. We can see young people having a fantastic time. Louise is exciting, wanting to sign up. What was it that drew you about it, Louise?
Part of it is just that I've never done a jamboree. I really want to do one, and I missed that opportunity as a young person because we were told it's so expensive and you have to raise all the money yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We found out later wasn't true, but
I'm sorry.
So yeah, and also it looks exciting. I know it's travel kind of like clickbait, but still, it looks exciting. It looks amazing to want to go and explore those places.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what I was getting from there is travel clickbait. It's got to get people fired up, hasn't it? Really. And when we think about these things, and it's got to look inspirational. It's got to look fun. It's got to look at drawing your new world. What a great opportunity there to have that experience. Any other thoughts on what you've just seen there, Dean?
Can I come in, Gwen? Hello.
Lee, feel free.
Well, a bit like David, I never had the chance to go as a young person because I didn't hear about these things because I think we relied too much on cascades and people telling you stuff. Or, as Louise said, making decisions for you, perhaps it was too expensive or whatever. But I've had the pleasure of going to the last 3 World Scout Jamborees, and once you go to one, they are quite addictive. So, just to plant that out, and there's other people on this screen who would know that vibe as well. The only thing I would make is it is an amazing life-changing experience. But of course, most counties only have 1, maybe 2 units push.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more young people in our counties that won't go to Jamboree. So it's how actually we are also opened up with things like the Moot and stuff like that, but also other local expeditions, but how we also bring in national scouting locally, because we always have far more interest than we would have places. And this is a fantastic opportunity, and it will be again. So the South Koreans will just, blow our minds, I suspect, in terms of what they're going to do and what they're going to put on. But it's just remembering, I suppose, all the way through that this is still only an opportunity for perhaps 36 young people, maybe more if you're lucky. But it's how to bring that alive wider than just whatever that unit is for your county. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you for that, Dean. Absolutely. So I'm going to go on to, so we've got a few more facts. So basically, what is the Scout Jamboree? How does it work? So we know the World Scout Jamboree is World Organisation of the Scout Movement. So WOSM, which is basically what I've got on my T-shirt here. We know it happens every 4 years, and each time it's hosted by a different country. We know it's a gathering of tens and thousands of scouts from across the world, and fundamentally it's an educational event to promote understanding and peace. Okay, that is where it becomes so very important, just to remember that. As we've just seen, the next World Scout Jamboree is going to take place in South Korea. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name because I'll get it wrong, but in summer of 2023. We know Jamboree includes a wide variety of activities and places, and it's also great importance on the learnings of different cultures and interaction of the campsite. Those of you who've had the experience on an international event, and like we is on Moot, you know that everybody comes together. We know that participants should be aged between 14 and 17 at the time of the event, but the IST, International Service Team, is made up of volunteers aged 18 and over. And UK Scouts from all walks of life are welcome to take part in this, and it's completely inclusive. So, how did Jamborees come about? So the world's first Scout Jamboree actually was held in London in 1920 in the Olympia Halls in Kensington. And when we think about how the size of the last one was in 2019 in West Virginia, with over 45,000 members who experienced the Jamboree event, and as Jane said, joined by hundreds of thousands of day visitors, we couldn't almost imagine that happening now in Olympia. I don't know the numbers that were there at Olympia, but it certainly wouldn't have been that. So what are we thinking about for this year, for the next time rather? So, we do have some timelines, and these may be subject to change. And I know this is what everybody's interested in. So where are we now? So that actually supposed to say second half. So 2020, second half. And we were looking at recruiting a contingent lead, and that has already happened. So we have our contingent leader, which is Liz Walker, who's CC for Hertfordshire. And she has also got her contingent management team. Okay, so Liz is going to be joined by Clive Wilson, and I'm going to see the rest of it. Bear with. Clive leader, Peter Wilson and Rob Murray. And these are the deputy contingent leaders for people, logistics and operations and engagement, respectively. Okay, so let me move on to the next step, which is going to, there we go, the second half bit. 2021. This is where they're going to start looking at recruiting that contingent support team. How this is everybody that runs in the background. So it's going to be recruiting that contingent support team. They're also going to start confirming the unit allocations. Okay, so the last time in West Virginia, we had the largest UK contingent. And this year, we're looking at numbers are likely to be about 36 youth participants plus 4 adult leaders for each patrol or contingent. So this time we could be looking at about 75 UK units, which would be made up of 3,000 young people and their adult leaders. Okay. Then we're going to look at recruiting the unit leaders. So again, that's usually down as a county-led event. And then later on, there's a briefing event for unit leaders, where they're going to find out more about their time at World Scout Jamboree and what their big city experiences are going to be. So I know that at the event for this time, this is where they learned that they were going to be spending time in New York, and then ahead of the World Scout Jamboree, and then going to Washington for the weekend afterwards. And this is where you find out what the kit looks like as well. So that's quite exciting. So then looking at 2022, this is where we're going to start looking at recruiting for IST. And they've got around potentially 500 plus members of UK Scouting that will be recruited for IST. And again, it's an interview and a selection process. And again, there'll be a briefing event where the newly formed group gets together, able to meet each other for the first time, find out a bit more about daily life and what their possible roles could be whilst they're there. And then just ahead of the Jamboree itself, there's a briefing event for all adult volunteers. This is where everybody last time went to Gilwell Park. You get the IST together, you get the adult volunteers, get the contingent leaders together. Again, find out, meet everybody. And also as IST, it's finding out how we could shape our post-event tours. So we go to these events, and we can take part, and we can go and visit other cities afterwards. So have we got any questions on that so far before I move on? Feel free to unmute yourself, free to wave your hand at me, feel free to give me any thoughts on that so far. If not, I will go on. No, fine. I'm very aware, as I say, I don't like talking. I'm very much getting everybody to take part and to share with me as well. Okay, so International Service Team, what is it? Okay, so we know that Scouts who are at least 18 years of age at the start of the Jamboree are welcome to join the IST. And IST members should be ready to perform any tasks necessary for Jamboree. In addition, members must register and be part of the, sorry, I've just looked on that, be registered and they need to be part of a National Scout Organisation contingent, so UK contingent. In early 2018, I decided that I wanted to apply to be a member of IST for America. I've never done a Jamboree before, never, the only time I'd been to any event was when I visited as a day visitor in 2000. 2007 even, there you go, up to Highlands Park. But before that, I'd never had any experience in that. So I decided I wanted to become a member of the IST. And I will say it was the best decision I ever made. My background is in catering, and because of that, I decided to apply to be a member of the UK Food House. So if you visited the IST, if you visited Jamboree, or you were part of a participant, part of the teams there, you'd have seen UK Food House. We were shelling out chips like there was no tomorrow, chips and tea. We got through tons of potatoes, and we were peeling them back, not by hand, but in a potato peeler, in a rumbler. But we worked hard, but we had fun time too. We had downtime. So as Dean mentioned, life-changing adventure. It was my first experience of World Scout Jamboree, but it really, really won't be my last. So IST, you can do anything. It could be experience based. It could be it could be part of media. It could be I've known people that decided they wanted to go and be part of the supboarding team. They'd never had any supboarding experience, but it's everything. It's just so many different choices that you can be there. You might have to do box and bins, but it's still a very, very important job to do. So, as we said, who can join? We know that can be there, and we know what they could be expected to do, but it could be everything. But ultimately, it will be fun. Okay. What we're thinking? Is anybody fired up to do IST? Anybody thinking, yeah, I could do that? What about you, Louise?
I'm undecided on IST or unit leader.
Aha, okay.
I think some events you end up, there's obviously the World Scout Jamboree, but there's it's kind of sort of coming back to Dean's point as well. One of the things that I kind of see the World Scout Jamboree as is a kind of sort of tentpole event to get people enthused about international scouting. And we've really found that doing the selection process in Greater London North, that we've done a lot more publicity over recent years, got it out there, so loads of people know about it. No one is in that position where they don't find out about it, but we get masses more applications and a far more demanding selection process. And so it's what to do with all these enthused young people. And actually, what we're really trying to do is to spread that out onto, saying this is what World Scouting is all about. You could get onto the World Scout Jamboree, but if you don't, there's loads of other events going on. And actually, as a leader, I've had a great time taking groups to national jamborees in Ireland, Finland, Hungary, and to be honest, I think that's probably in many ways been more fun, as a leader, because you got less pressure. Or in Hungary, we were in a far smaller jamboree, the Central European Jamboree, so there were only what were there, like 5,000 on site, and we were the only UK group there with a group of 15, and so that experience there is a totally different one, but still a really, really engaging international experience. And then what you also find in those smaller events is quite often leaders are pressed in to help as IST as well, because they haven't got a big IST turnout. And my background's more in sort of arts and theatre, and so I found myself at the Finnish Jamboree being signed up to organise the evening entertainment for the Rover area for the whole week, and we had a whole schedule of bands and dancing and karaoke every night. Fantastic. And that was enormous fun for me as leader. And actually, I was able to do that because the young people that I'd taken out to the Finnish National Jamboree were entirely off doing programme the whole time, and the Jamboree was entirely catered. So rather than being one of those ones where the leaders become the catering team for the unit, we could just go off and help to run the event.
Brilliant.
So it can go in a lot of directions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you're absolutely spot on. As you say, World Scout Jamboree is that flagpole event, but there are others. And certainly we talk about the ones that are ahead, sort of organised by part of the UK, so part of UK contingent. But there are others that are obviously going on at the same time that you can take yourself to. Years ago, I was on holiday in New Zealand, and we saw a guide. We saw a jamboree that was happening down there in Rotorua, and we just popped in there and found a group of UK guides in there, and we were in there as scouts, and it was just like, oh wow, but great that you could still take yourself down there and they could take part in this in these events. So yeah, absolutely. So we mentioned about other international opportunities, and it's very unfortunate that obviously European Jamboree had to be cancelled due to COVID. The organisers took that decision to it needed to be cancelled. However, participants would have been Explorer Scouts 14 to 17 during that event, and they would have camped with the unit and enjoy that full international experience. But building on a fantastic programme as part of the World Scout Jamboree bids, the Scouts and Guides of Poland, they would have liked us to join there. Absolutely. Bit of a shame that was cancelled. But then we mentioned about Moot. Now, I know Louise mentioned about going to Iceland as part of that. So the next one is being held, we've got down here at 2021, it's been postponed to 2022. And again, international gathering of 18 to 25-year-olds, or 18 to 26 for 2022. And again, for all around the world. So it takes part every 4 years in a different host country. And the first Moot took part in Switzerland in 1931. And the last two hosted in Canada in 2013, and then, as Louise mentioned, in Iceland in 2017. And the next is in Ireland. And again, we had opportunities to apply to be part of the IST for that. So again, I've signed up to be a member of been lucky enough and fortunate enough to be selected as part of the IST for that. I don't know what I'm going to be involved doing, but again, it's just putting it out there, because as Dean mentioned, it's saying it's that life-changing experience. And once you've been in one event, you're going to want to carry on doing them. So has anybody had any thoughts about doing Moot at all, or just thinking about taking other when we can go back to face-to-face scouting? But as you say, it's how we can also have that international experience here in the UK as well. So tell me what you're thinking.
Well, our summer camp last year was meant to be in Durham in August, which would have been an international camp, right? But that didn't happen either. Yeah. So that would have been an opportunity to have an international camp, a mini jamboree in England, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there are other events that take part, as we know, throughout England as well. But it's still mixing, having those opportunities to mix with other scouting volunteers, and certainly for young people who think, if you've got some that don't even see people from outside their group, let alone from people from across the world as well, and it's a great experience as well for them. So I've got another video, and I'm sure if you've been to Japan, you might recognise some of this. So let's play this for you. Let's get this going. Can you hear that?
The best thing about the Jamboree is meeting new people and trying some of the new stuff. The Japanese culture, they do a lot of weird stuff.
Meeting all these people from different countries and really getting into the atmosphere of everything. Everyone was so approachable and friendly, and it was so easy to talk. I didn't find the language barriers a problem at all. It was wonderful.
It's really nice to know that you belong to a worldwide family like that.
I think that the best thing is probably going and learning about all the different cultures, and kind of seeing that even though we've got so many similarities and differences, we can still all get along and learn new things.
Was that I got a chance to meet people from all across the world, and I got to speak to them and make friends with them, and it was like a life-changing experience.
But there were so many scouts in such perfect and peace harmony. It's like when you're back in the UK, you've got all your social anxieties and pressures on your shoulders, but when you were out there, all that pressure was gone, and it was brilliant.
No, I think I'm going to really miss all the people just waking up to there being, oh look, they're from Thailand, okay, and seeing all of the lights and all the flags. It's just, it's kind of like my life's going to be empty, I guess, for a little bit.
The Jamboree has been one of the best experiences of my life. I've spent like 2 years leading up to it, met some absolutely amazing people, and I don't think I'll ever have an amazing 3 weeks like that again. I just can't. It was amazing.
At the Jamboree, I learned that everybody in scouting cares about each other.
Finding out that no matter who you are and where you come from, you do have a place, and there are many people just like you, just waiting to meet you.
That you can get on with anyone, no matter where they're from and what country they live in, and everyone cares about you, and there's always someone there for you.
No matter how different we think people are, that we all share the same things, and we all have common interests with each other.
I learned that it's always important to go into things with a fresh mindset, and not just to live based on stereotypes and apply that to everything.
Fantastic people and some fantastic young people who I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
You can't sit behind a computer and find these different foods and these different places and different songs and everything about a country. You can't find that sat there. But when you go to the Jamboree, they're just so closely connected with one another, and you can just find them round the corner. And it's such an amazing opportunity. It's really amazing.
We are the future, and as scouting we can make the future what we want, because there's so many of us here. You know, if we all think the exact same idea, something will happen.
The world is so much bigger than just Nottinghamshire, than just England. It's so huge, and I've got a lifetime to explore it, and that I can explore it if I want to.
We've gelled, we've been part of like this whole experience together, and we've got in it and through it together, and we've helped each other, and it's gonna be gutting. We're gonna all be gutted when we have to leave each other.
Amazing experience, and being able to take and be part of such an awesome team. It's been an amazing time. That's it.
How was that for you? Oh, I've got the boss man in. Boss man, Terry snuck in. Uh-oh. Don't be on my best behaviour now.
I was just thinking from all of those, all those good news, it's all those stories, that feedback, and we as scout leaders know what effect it has on young people.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking about here is we've got this problem, and I'm working in one of our districts that's highly deprived areas, and there are many other districts that are the same across London. As we might have been looking at that map as we think about the census return and the grant funding. But that's it, grant funding from other organisations for things like this type of international events. And it's just been making me think that we need to do something more about collecting the evidence that shows the effect on young people that attending or even being associated around these events has for them in their long time. And this is probably something that we could do, going back to those that attended Japan, the UK and the Netherlands. I think I can't remember the one between the two when I was out scouting. Thailand, but going back to find those people that attended, and Sweden as well, those people that attended those events, and looking at them now and saying, are they more engaged in the community? Are they more international in their outlook than people that didn't attend? What effect did it have on them as members of society? And their this whole outcomes type of thing that we need to show when we try and apply for grant funding for stuff, because and that's where it's all going to. We can do the fundraising, and that's easy. We can appeal to individuals to give their money at the bag packing and this sort of stuff. But we want to go to a grant funding organisation. They say, what's the evidence that the outcome is going to improve the life for this person that we're grant funding, or this event that you're doing? And that can go wider. I mean, we talk about international events, thinking about, we've been trying in my district, I've been trying to push that we should do some sort of, camp event like Wings or Essex Jamboree, or some Jamboree every year for the Scouts, and something international occasionally for the Explorers, to get them out and doing stuff. But we don't have, where do we get the funding to help with these events? To me, to show that it makes a difference to young people. We all know it, but grant funders don't.
No, I mean you're absolutely right, David, and it's having that, as you say, about those outcomes and measuring that success and measuring how it impacts those young people. I don't suppose there is anything like that, is there, Terry?
Those things are very difficult to get hold of, and I could see exactly where David was coming from, and yeah, it's not easy to
evidence, is it really?
Evidence and verbalize, because it's all when they come back they have all these wonderful, but of course 4 years it's just everything gets lost and you have to restart again. So it's you know, I remember coming back from Sweden and at the Christmas time writing up the Jamboree report for the county executive, which took me forever to do with Maxine. And then afterwards you see the next Jamboree unit making the same mistakes and you think, I did a umpteen page report to, you know, so these things didn't happen again, but of course they just seem to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for that. I'm just reading Andrew's comments in there. You know, absolutely great experience for young adults to meet other people, other explorers and scouts from around the world. And absolutely, when it comes to applying, as Louise mentioned about the fact that, Jane saying about it being too expensive, you know, it's knowing that you can still do it because there will always be funding. As David mentioned, it's knowing how you can find it. The fact that there are, you know, and Dee's going to smile at this. As somebody famous once said, "Make it happen," and there you go. And it's how we can do that, and it's getting it and doing there for it. But yeah, you know, when selecting for the world, run alongside other events as well. I know that some counties might do. I know certainly in GLSE we used to do it. We used to call it like a sister event. So we did that for Sweden. We also did it for Japan as well. So when the contingent went to Japan, we had another trip that still went alongside, and they went and did that day visit to there as well. So you can still get some. It's not quite, because, you know, we had 96 people. This is before I was CC. 96 people, I think, apply for those 36 spaces. So how can we make sure that those other people, those other young people, don't miss out? So what else can we put on in place for that, to help them as well? As it happened, we were going to do other events last summer, in 2019, that didn't materialise, but they were still able to have, I think there was a big camp that was happening in one of the districts as well, but knowing that they can still do that. And even if it's not going to Japan, I know certainly in Great London South they do trips to Kenya. We've done trips to Kenya in Great London South East as well, taking Christmas to Kenya with 49 Explorer Scouts network over to Kenya for over Christmas, and then, you know, it's all these other experiences as well. So any questions, anything else, any other comments that people want to share with us, or Mr. Jeffries?
No, cost can be a barrier to these things, but having taken young people from, you know, Hackney, Tower Hamlets, Barking, Dagenham to the last 3 World Scout Jamborees, anything is possible. And it was a bit sad when Louise said earlier, you know, she'd been sort of turned away or turned off, if you like, because someone made the view that cost is prohibitive. Well, cost can be, but there's ways and means to take that away, be it through grant funding, be it through impact reports, as I think like David was alluding to, and stuff like that. Part of it is also the tracking piece. You know, I've taken, I know Terry has, David has, built to World Scout Jamborees who are still involved as leaders. And the balance is, for some people, they see the Jamboree as the pinnacle and they think, well, there's nothing else I can top that, so I'm going to leave. For others, it's the springboard to sort of think, right, I've done such an amazing time, I want to do more of this, and I want to put more stuff back in. So there's some really interesting stuff about how we track people. The other thing I want to very quickly pull back on, in that last video clip, which is probably about 4 or 5 years old now, one of the guys being interviewed said, oh, you can't do this online. Well, actually, in some ways you can now, and that's the pandemic has helped. There's been lots of examples of Explorer units, cub packs, beaver colonies doing a joint meeting with a beaver colony. We certainly, the group we stayed with for Ho-Ho in Canada, the lady who was our Ho-Ho host is a cub leader, and she's done some joint cub meetings with some of our cub packs here locally off the back of that. So it is a very big world, but you don't have to travel everywhere to do these things. There is some stuff we could do locally, because actually at the end of the day, it's only going to be a couple of 100 kids from the region who will get to go to South Korea, but there's loads more we could do to open that world and make it up for other people too.
Absolutely spot on. Thank you for that, Dean. And you know, that's just reminded me, I was invited to take part in a joint event with one of the groups in Bexley, who partnered with their namesake town in Australia. So we had a joint meeting between the leaders and the young people for that as well. But yeah, the world is a big place, but we've made it smaller, and this is another way in which we can take part in that as well. So absolutely, thanks for that, Dean. Any other questions? Any other comments? I'm sorry. One I was saying about one of the saddest things is other adults can make that decision for the young people, thinking that young people won't want to know about it. And I'm so sad when I hear that districts didn't open it to their young people because no, they're not going to be able to afford it. Who are we to say that? You know. And I can see Andrew sitting there about first virtual scout again, another fantastic resource that's come out of this this crazy world and where we are now. So thank you. Any other comments? Any other questions before you dash off and have a cup of tea?
The question is, how could it be avoided that we have oversigned contingents? Yeah. I have 3 daughters. They would all have been eligible for West Virginia, and one of them was picked because it was 3 times oversigned. Yeah, this is the counterweight of explorer scouts who cannot afford it, but then you also have not enough places for the people who want to go.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Martin. I know each district and each county will run their selection processes in a different way, but it's trying to be. I think we're trying to get further information out from UK as to how it's done on a fair basis, because money shouldn't be a prohibitive to it. It shouldn't be a barrier, but it's looking at those skills, how they're going to participate as part of a team, and all those sorts of opportunities. So it's more fair rather than saying you've got the money, therefore we're cutting off here. So yeah, it absolutely should be more fair, and I don't think there's any one set way in how anybody particularly does it.
When you only have one chance, right?
I know.
I think it's really hard. You know, we had to in Grand North East last time around, we had 137 applicants, 36 places, so we had to turn down 101 people. Now they're all fantastic kids, you know, but you've got to make a mixed choice of personalities, ages, genders, etc. What is really interesting though, the 3 times I've been involved, the amount of people applying has got more each time.
Yeah.
Which I think means we're getting rid of some of the barriers. More people are finding out through stuff through social media and through friends and stuff like that, which is great. But as you say, Martin, you know, we can't take everybody. So at the end of the day, it can only be a selection. But I think the more we can do to provide local scouting or international scouting locally, the better. And there's loads of ways we can do that. You know, Middlesex West have often done their trips to Candlesteg.
That's right.
There's all kinds of individual trips, you know, David's talked about. Districts doing stuff together, troops working together, units working together, or just doing Zoom calls together and stuff like that. So there's loads of things. You know.
Absolutely. But the big difference for the World Scout Jamboree is that the selection process is 2 years in advance to the World Scout Jamboree. And my daughter, who was able to participate, got so much out of the camps, the weekend camps, the preparation camps in advance to the date, so that when they went, they were already a proper what's the right word? A proper gang, team, whatever you name
proper
it.
Unit.
They were growing together, and that is something you can only experience from the World Scout Jamboree, because other camps you might have a preparation afternoon so that they can learn each other and you can talk to the parents and give them some background information. But these preparation camps and that they were growing together, that's an experience which is not to be underestimated as part of the World Scout Jamboree.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Christine, were you going to say something just then?
I was just going to say that, I mean, part of what I think we need to be better at is looking at alternative things we can offer, so that the people who do, I mean, I know Great Friends of Middlesex West did last time, that they took those that didn't succeed on a sort of a mini county jamboree to, I think they went to Holland. David will remind me.
Harlem.
Harlem, yeah.
But I think often that sort of thing gives those that don't succeed, but then we need to almost try to make that a bit wider again, so that those that didn't think to apply, because they sort of think, well, I'm never going to get in, because if sounds that going forward, there's no chance I'm going to get there, because that gets into people's heads. We offer more of that type of thing as well. So it's not, you know, it's all more work, isn't it? But
but absolutely.
Well,
no, thank you for that.
what we are doing since 2016 now is that we are offering a district explorer camp, which has now become a county explorers camp, because we do it with Kingston and Wimbledon together. So we are planning it this year to go to Gilwell, which is around the corner, and we don't know what's happening with COVID. But at the moment, we have 7 units with 65 kids signed up for it. which is in a way a small jamboree, because there are a lot of people who don't know each other. And this is a scheme we're doing since 2016, where we've been, well, to Wales, if that's in the country or outside, I leave it to you. We've been to Kandersteg in 2018. We've been to Germany in 2017. All with that setup of bringing together various units and getting a critical mass, which is totally different momentum. Because when you go with one unit, they know each other, they hate each other, and this, you're breaking into this by just giving them 75% of people they don't know, which is like a small jamboree, actually.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, everybody. I hope you managed to get something from it. I hope you enjoyed looking at the videos. As we said, it is being recorded. I'm not sure you might want to watch it back, but thank you very much anyway. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.